From the moment I met Daniel, everything about my world seemed to glow brighter. He was charming, confident, and kind, or so I thought. We met on a sunlit afternoon in a little cafe where my father and I often went after his doctor's appointments. Daniel had that kind of smile that could light up a room, and when he looked at me, I felt like I was the only person in existence. It was as if fate itself had woven our paths together. Our courtship was swift but intoxicating. Daniel showered me with attention, made grand promises, and spoke of a future where we'd build everything together. When he proposed, I said yes without hesitation. I believed in us. I believed that he was my partner, my lover, my best friend. But the truth is, I didn't know him, not really. What I thought was love was just a carefully constructed illusion, a house of cards built on his charm and my hope. In the beginning, Daniel seemed like a dream come true. We moved into the beautiful home my father had helped me choose, a place I had always imagined growing old in. The ranch was part of my inheritance, a legacy my father had entrusted me with rolling hills, ancient oak trees, and fields that whispered stories of generations before me. It was my sanctuary, and I loved sharing it with Daniel. At first, he seemed genuinely interested. He helped with the ranch chores, learned the names of every tree and flower, and even took an interest in my father's stories. But slowly, cracks began to appear. Daniel's charm turned into control. His kind words became demands. The man who once said we began saying I, and my plans. The home I had built with my father's love felt less like a sanctuary and more like a stage for his ambitions. Then came the day that shattered everything. I returned home from a trip to find a thick envelope on the kitchen table, addressed to me but with Daniel's handwriting. Inside was a letter, cold and calculated. He claimed he had built my life, that without him, none of what I had was possible. He demanded $10, $5 million, an amount that included the ranch's value, and insisted I hand over my father's inheritance to him. The words stabbed deeper than any knife could. How could the man I trusted reduce our years of marriage and my family's legacy to a dollar figure? How could he erase my father's love, my hard work, and my dreams with such ease? I felt like I was drowning in betrayal, the ground beneath me crumbling. But amid the tears and the heartbreak, a small, fierce ember of resolve began to glow. Daniel might have claimed he built my life, but he didn't know the foundation. He didn't know the roots my father planted deep within me, the strength, the love, the unyielding spirit. No, this wasn't the end, not by a long shot. I would fight back. Not just for the ranch, not just for the money, but for the life Daniel tried to steal, the life I was born to live. The days after Daniel's letter felt like walking through a fog. Every room in the house echoed with memories of laughter and whispered promises that now felt hollow and brittle. The ranch, which had once been my refuge, now seemed like a fortress under siege, its gates closing in, threatening to lock me out of my own future. My father's voice echoed in my mind, steady and calm. No matter what happens, remember who you are, Lily. Your roots run deep. He had always been my anchor, the man who taught me to find strength in love, not just to seek it. But even his lessons couldn't prepare me for this kind of pain, the kind that twists the heart and leaves you questioning everything you thought was true. Daniel's claim wasn't just about money. It was a brutal erasure of my identity. He said he built my life, but all I could see was a man eager to tear it down. The legal battle was exhausting and merciless. His lawyers presented cold, calculated arguments, painting me as someone dependent on him, someone who owed him for every step I'd taken. But they didn't know the truth. I was the one who grew up waking before dawn to help my father tend to the ranch, learning the value of hard work beneath the blazing sun. I was the one who fought through years of doubt and fear to keep our legacy alive. Daniel was an opportunist, a man hungry for control disguised as a husband. Amid the storm, I found a quiet strength rising inside me. It wasn't loud or angry at first. It was a small voice, steady and sure, reminding me that I wasn't alone. My father, though frail now, sat beside me one evening and took my hand. "You are stronger than you know, Lily. This ranch, this inheritance, sits more than land or money. It's a promise to your family, to yourself." His words sparked something fierce. I realized that my fight wasn't just about protecting property. It was about protecting the story of who I was, the dreams I carried, and the legacy I would pass on. I began to gather evidence of my contributions, financial records, photographs of the work I'd done, testimonies from family, friends, and neighbors who had seen Daniel's true colors. I met with lawyers who believed in justice, not just contracts. And slowly, I stopped feeling like a victim. I started to see Daniel for what he truly was, a man desperate to claim what he never earned, a man who had built nothing but his own empire of lies. The pain of betrayal was still raw, but it no longer controlled me. With each passing day, I grew stronger, sharper, more determined. Daniel might have tried to shatter my dreams, but he underestimated the woman he thought he built. I was ready to fight not just for what was mine, but for the truth, for my family, and for the future I would build on my own terms. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation. Daniel sat across from me, confident, smug, certain that his demands would crush me once and for all. But I had a secret weapon no amount of money or arrogance could buy: truth and unwavering resolve. Over months of painstaking preparation, I had pieced together a tapestry of evidence that painted Daniel not as the husband who built my life, but as the man who had ridden on my family's legacy, taking without giving and twisting love into leverage. The letters, the financial records, the testimonies, all revealed his greed, his manipulation, and his lies. But the most powerful moment wasn't the evidence or the lawyer's closing argument. It was when my father, steady and dignified despite his frailty, took the stand. He spoke with quiet authority about the ranch, about family, and about the woman who had always been the heart of it all. "This ranch was never just land to us," he said. "It is a legacy of love and labor, passed down through generations. My daughter, Lily, has been the soul who kept it alive. No one else deserves it more." Daniel's smug expression faltered. And when the judge finally ruled in my favor, affirming my full ownership of the ranch and dismissing Daniel's financial claims, I felt a rush of relief and vindication that no amount of money could buy. But the sweetest part of my revenge wasn't the legal victory. It was the way I chose to rebuild quietly, with grace, and on my own terms. I sold the house that Daniel had once called ours, turning the money into scholarships for local kids who wanted to learn about farming and stewardship. I revitalized the ranch with sustainable practices my father had always dreamed of, but never had the chance to fully implement. And I lived, truly lived, for the first time in years, surrounded by the land my father loved, friends who believed in me, and a future I was crafting with my own two hands. Daniel's name faded from my life, a shadow from a chapter I'd closed. In the end, he hadn't built my life. He had only tried to claim it, but I was the one who built the foundation, the walls, and the light that filled it. And now I was free,